everyone's talking about The Little Mermaid, and as if there's some problem with her being black now in the remake. There is a problem, but only with it being a remake. So anyway, I get this news that on Twitter everyone is talking about The Little Mermaid, and they're talking about how Ariel's new voice will be Halle Berry, I think, and they'll probably render her as having dark skin as well, and I don't see what the problem is. My problem is with Hollywood keeping these remakes up, and I'm just so sick of it now. There was the whole series of straight to VHS sequels from the original films, and now they're doing live action ones, and I'm just kind of sick of Disney. I'd like to see some new ideas. I'd like to see new stories. I remember there was a time when they were much better than Studio Ghibli or anything else. They were the only game in town, and they were the best. And I remember I think it was 89 or 90 when The Little Mermaid came out, and seeing the spectacular animation and color and effects, and the story is of a female protagonist, teenage girl and all that, and it has musical numbers and everything, but even me and my brothers just thought it was the coolest thing, because that's sort of the whole point. It's supposed to be a fairy tale anyway, with a certain feminine appeal, you guess, but to have the characters, and we thought she was so hot. The original redhead Little Mermaid, Ariel. And so there was a rumor, I think, that there were pictures of her naked or something. I remember hearing all this stuff in the playground when I was a boy. But just the animation was brilliant, and the story was great, the songs were great, and especially being kids in Wisconsin, thinking how great it would be just to be at the ocean, under the sea. Actually, I don't know if he minds me telling this, but my little brother's name is Sebastian, and we all picked that name based on Sebastian the Crab, and it ended up being a much cooler name than mine. So I don't know, sorry for outing you, man, but I just had to, that sort of came up when I was thinking about this story. And the original comes from Hans Christian Andersen. It's an adaptation of his story. And I've been to Denmark. Denmark is, I think, the third or second country that I've been to outside of my own. And so, of course, I went to see their famous Little Mermaid statue. And it's odd because just a few weeks ago it came up because I was waiting in line to use an ATM. And these visitors, these tourists, had no idea what was happening. And I was getting irritated, and their kids were running around, but they asked me for my help, and I was able to talk to them. And I found out that they were from Copenhagen. And so we talked about the Little Mermaid statue, which is of a beautiful teenage girl, and she's topless, and you don't really see the fishtail, you just see the human bits. The human perfection is what's facing everyone. And but it's not a dirty thing, it's just like how in classical sculpture, like you've got your Cupid and Psyche and Venus de Milo and all these others. It's really well done and really an amazing sight, and just a sign of Hans Christian or Andersen, and the folk literary fairy tale tradition that's such a part of Danish culture. Anyway, the other thing, okay, so the original, I also remember, had a very dirty scene where during the wedding, I think, is it the king or the priest gets a visible erection, which I didn't think there was, I thought there was no way, no chance in hell, but then they actually showed us that in high school. And this is a movie that we all grew up with. And I just thought, I remember when I was little thinking it was crazy that there was a male actor doing the voice of Ursula. And I thought Ursula was such a great villain. But then it bothered me at first, and I'm like, wait, what does it matter? It's just a voice, just a voice. Who knows what the voices are of the animals in Looney Tunes or anything else? And of course, if you're going to go around remaking all this stuff instead of coming up with any good ideas or making any actually good sequels, then all right, fine. Just use different voices, make some changes, make some adjustments. I mean, you don't have to make it woke and everything. And I think this is just similar to the whole concept of woke advertising, in that they're trying to sell us these things, trying to get through ad blocks. Nobody watches TV anymore. So they've changed it so now previews last 20 minutes, so you can always show up to movies late. And now the only way to really get your movie out there is to get people talking about it by doing whatever little trick or adjustment you can make. I think that's really what it is. I think the hate is intentional. And this all goes back to, you remember that big controversy in 2015, 2016 with the all-female cast of Ghostbusters and how that got Milo Yiannopoulos banned from Twitter and all these other things that happened as a result. Well, it was just a ploy to sell tickets, and I saw that to begin with. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a new Ghostbusters movie, but the problem is with Ghostbusters, with these Disney films, with just so much that gets put out there, it's just none of it's original, and that's what I'm yearning for. And the problem is, since people are downloading movies and watching them at home, people aren't used to paying for movie tickets. It's not such a big thing anymore. Like, they don't make risks anymore when they're making new movies. So I would like to see something new. I'm not going to go see the new Little Mermaid movie, but I did want to talk about it just because I wanted to go through those memories of childhood. Now, remember that was the first really big Disney film. Of course, we knew about Pinocchio and we knew about Cinderella and all that. That was like the first one of our era in the early 90s, and that set off, I think it was after that was Beauty and the Beast, and then that was even better, and then Aladdin was even better, and then I actually saw The Lion King in the theaters, and that just blew me away, and I thought nothing could top that. So it was during that time period. There have been other films Disney has made since then, but I just don't like the CGI stuff, and I'm certainly not a fan of these remakes at all. But anyway, who cares who's in them? Over and out.